And welcome, product photographers. We're looking at household appliances. This is a tricky area. Lots and lots of household appliances shot on white because, let's face it, Amazon has had a huge influence on that particular market. You know, quite a heavy amount of products sold through Amazon, similar distributors. So they've really put their mark on it, but you still have to think of creativity when you're shooting for your book. To shoot a bunch of stuff on white like you would see in Amazon is probably not a good idea. Although one or two might be very good, you've got to show your creativity along with the ability to shoot these different types of items. So let's start out with something that's rather commonplace, and that would be hair dryers. Yes. Again, lining up different, the different lines, the different models of this. It's done very well. Notice how all the logos show up beautifully. We're cropping into that one at that point right there, but I don't think anybody doesn't know what that letter is. That's that one there. It's all the way down. I love the lighting coming from the back, all wrapping around here. We see this nice big reflection on the ends of it. We see a beautiful reflection along the top, which gives us separation. Got to have that separation. Black against black is going to be a nightmare if we're not prepared for it. And then what I thought was especially nice is right down here, you can see the handle has, looks like a couple of different textures in it. And so the handle is really getting a nice dose of reflected light right here to keep that handle nice and sharp and bright and giving us the texture of that shiny plastic down there. So simple shot to do lighting wise. Going to put a big light behind it, big light over the top of it, maybe a light in front, maybe a light to the side, but some white cards strategically placed. Notice this beautiful reflection on the inside here. Strategically placed to see all these little nooks and crannies. Nicely done. Was it shot in one shot or is it photoshopped? I don't know. I don't care. I would say your job would be to be able to make sure you could shoot this in one shot. I can't see a reflection of this unit in this unit. I don't see that. So it's either been retouched out or it was shot separate. Whether you shoot it separate or composite it, no problem. Don't care. Rice cookers. Hey, we can't have too many rice cookers out there. I love rice. Notice the very simple surface. And also notice that the grain of the surface, I'm always saying, put the grain in the middle, put the grain in the middle. Well, they didn't do that here, but they did put the grain where? So that it would lead you right up to the words. The grain takes you straight up to the headline. So the designer knew what he was doing, or he or she knew what they were doing. Photographer knew what they were doing as well. We got some nice light down the side, definitely got a light on the top, and we've got a little kicker just for this area in front here. We can see that right there. Personally, I would have taken that out. Personally, I would take that out, and I'd probably take that little one out right there. These on the inside I would leave. I'd leave that one. I think the light on the top gives us the look of glass. Feels pretty good. But I think I would pull that out. Now the question becomes, was this shot somewhere else and dropped in? I think if we look at the terrible Photoshop work here, we'll all agree this was dropped in. So the cooker, even the bowl of rice may have been separate, but the cooker is lit very well. Mixer grinders, same thing. We lead right up to the right up to the headline there. Were the mixer grinders shot somewhere else? I think obviously they were. Obviously, looks like a stock photo they purchased and then dropped it back there with this surface here. But nicely done on the blender. And this is a very hard thing to do. You got a white blender. So the photographer chose to give us a nice light across the front, let it go dark so that this kicker on this side, this reflection on this side, could give us that edge so we know what the shape is. It's so important to know the shape of this thing because that's what the designer, the design team, that's their baby right there. The way this thing curves up there and goes in, this little thing on the side to hold the juicer in place, all of that's part of the design, and you want to recognize that design and you want to respect that design by giving us all of those design elements. And our tool is light. So we've got a little bit of light coming from the back there, so it gives us this roundness here, the roundness above there. It's, overall quite nicely done. Now here's one that probably was not photoshopped in. Everything really feels natural here. And the unit has got some nice light on the front of it. It also has a nice feel of natural light. Got these big bright curtains in the back, and we do have something going down the side here, this reflection. It does look like there's, window bars or something there. So overall, nicely done. I think the super shallow depth of field behind it really helps this appliance stand out and does a very nice job. All the surfaces are lit. Even this surface here that has a little slight bevel. You see this little slight bevel here? The photographer provided something here to really make sure that that white popped out and that this white was separate from it. So we get the feel of the design. It's all about design, folks. An egg cooker is an egg cooker is an egg cooker. This thing could be absolutely totally ugly and still cook eggs really well. But design is what matters to people. They'll choose the most elegantly designed or a design that appeals to them over something that is not designed well every time. Too big soft boxes or too big scrims, whatever we want right here. And well-positioned white cards. Notice the white cards really squeeze in the front here on this label. Now, was this label shot separately than the back? Probably, and the reason I say that is that the photographers brought these labels right into where the camera is. Camera's in that slot, that little tiny slot right there is where the camera is. And to get this to light up, we've got white cards on both sides. However, those white cards are not visible in the black here. If they were, this whole thing would be kind of gray, and we would lose the texture of this being very shiny because we have the very sharp edge to the reflection of the whether it's a scrim, softboard, probably a white card, what have you. So this was shot separate and dropped in over the top because there's no hint of either of these white cards in this black back here. Got to learn to really look at these photographs or they'll fool us. Let's look at an ad for a hair dryer, a silver hair dryer. I do not know what it's sitting on, some sort of surface here, but the hair dryer has a very unusual something, right? Look at the shot. What's unusual about it? Well, we got big soft light here. We got a big soft light here. We got this little bitty shadow, very dark shadow running around. This was photoshopped on. The shadow was added in Photoshop because the shadow's going up there. It's going down here. It's nice and clean all the way around. That's not the shadow this light would have made because this fill right here would have taken care of that shadow. So it has a bit of an otherworldly feeling to it, a little bit kind of funky feeling. We may not know why when we first look at it, but our eyes are telling us that there's something different about this, and that's what it is right there. That shadow is not the type of shadow that we're going to get from a very brightly lit silver item here, because that silver right there is getting the full-on brunt of a fill card. Maybe it's a softbox, could be a scrim. It's getting the full-on of it, and yet it's not going underneath it. So that gives it that little bit of floating in air look. You may like that, you may dislike that. That's okay. I believe in the in the golden rule, then that's got the gold make the rules, and in this business, that's the art director. If they want that shadow, they ain't got it. All right, we got a little Frigidaire slow cooker here. Nice kitchen in the background, looks very natural. We've got lights above the top. We've got lights going down the side here. We've got some reflector boards all the way around this thing to keep it nice and shiny. But the photographer allowed it to have some natural light as well. Some of these lights up here might be the kitchen lights above it to give it a more natural look. So nicely done there. I don't know if any of you guys have tile floors. I have tile floors, and I would love to have one of these things. I would really love to have one of these things. Probably have to get some of the stuff up off the floor. But nicely lit, shot in position. Oh, hell no, because we've got light that goes all the way down to the bottom. We've got no reflections there. This was shot somewhere else and then dropped onto this floor. Look at the shadow. It makes no sense from what we're seeing. These shadows over here are going that way. This shadow's kind of coming frontwards. It's not casting that way. It's casting downwards. So sorry, Mr. Photoshop guy, you blew it. Doesn't look real, but maybe it's not supposed to because it really does stand out. Now let's look at the lighting on the unit. Beautiful across the top, nice gradients all the way through, showing us that curved background, showing us that rounded edge, showing us that gradient up front. Really looks well, really done well. I guess these are speakers of some kind, and photoshopped background might be a stock image, what have you, and then the product sitting up front. Clean. You know, point of view, cropping these off right here, it gives us a feeling that we're there. We're just really up kind of close, but point of view is always important. Notice what the photographer did with his blender. Got the camera right down on the surface. It's shooting straight across at this base, and then the thing goes, look, we're looking at the inside, the underneath part of it here. Really made this thing powerful. This gives us the idea, gives us the psychology that this is a big, monstrous blender. This is really a towering blender. It's going to blend whatever we need blended for sure. And the light, soft light here, clean white background. Notice down here we've got this beautiful highlight that runs right up here. Everything's very well done on it. It's very space age, very modern looking. So that's looking up. We're going to look straight across with this group of appliances. Now these are big appliances. I'm not expecting any of you guys to go out and shoot, washer dryer. That would be for the overachievers among you. But notice how different the points of view are. In tight, up. Now shooting straight across, we get this blender already has a bit of a flare to it. These do not, so the photographer is coming straight across to give us the real graphical design, because that's very, very good. It's very important to have these design elements coming straight across. So that will be a big part of the designer's design, and that's what the photographer is showing. A little grass up front to give it a feeling of, a footing to it, a footer. I didn't think this was all that great, but it's not terrible. Seeing these two patches of soft boxes here is just mind-numbingly bad for me. This is kind of a shot like, don't do this, please. If we can clearly see these soft boxes, we haven't done our job. Well, it's just kind of, we can see the whole studio in the top here. Just, that's not what we want to do, folks. It's just not what we want to do. Got to have it better than that. We got to have it like this juicer. Look at this juicer. Look at the beautiful light on the juicer. Got light down the sides, all the way around. Beautiful use of white cards through here. Beautiful use of point of view coming down. And we've got this little cord that runs and kind of makes a nice S curve through here. So yeah, it's shot on white, but it's pretty clean. This is definitely shot on white, and it's a little kind of little product that we're going to end up shooting a lot of little products on white like this. So being very careful with what the surface it's on. Looks like it's on a white surface. Got a little bit of a shadow here and a little bit of a reflection, and then very well controlled light all the way around. I don't know what this is. It might be an alarm clock. It might be something like that. But the point is, it's well done. It's very clean, and if you decide to shoot something like this, make sure that you're perfection in your highlights, because that's the deal. Another blow dryer. Blow dryer's got these attachments all over it, which are important to show. And the shadow that's sitting here, that looks pretty natural to me. I would say this was probably shot right here, on a background to get that shadow. We got soft light. See that little bright right there? That could be the light that's creating the shadow. I don't see. I see a little hot light right there, but maybe there's a poppy light creating this shadow, because these soft boxes are not going to create that type of shadow. So light is added for the shadow. A blender with some little fruits and veggies and things over in the corner. Not a bad shot. Clean. The photographers added this color down at the bottom. The art directors obviously wanted some color running around it, so it didn't have that look of stark whiteness. I don't know if they succeeded with that. I don't know if the shot is all that great. This is chrome. We don't really see the chrome. We don't really see this up here. So, I mean, it's a nice shot, but I think you could do a whole lot more with this shot, especially with this chrome in here, letting this chrome go black, letting this up here just sort of kind of become muddy. The light on the glass isn't bad. The light over here isn't bad. But overall, I think a whole lot more could be done with that. If you're going to shoot yourself into the picture, wear white. This is for the stove, obviously. And I don't know how many people would catch that. We catch that, obviously. But if that person was wearing white in that white studio back there, I don't think it would be a problem for them to wear a black t-shirt, seriously. So got some special lights hooked up to get some shadows back here to break up that wall, that stainless wall back there. And you can pretty much see what we got. We got a great big wall of light over here. I don't know if that's window. I don't know if that's giant scrim. Got a softbox over on this side. And this is reflecting all the bottles and things that are sitting out there. So again, could this be done better? Yeah, it could be. It might be exactly what the client wanted too. So you never can tell. You just can't tell. If you did it, I would do it better. Terrible Photoshop. Really not so good lighting on this thing. We can't tell what it is. Look at how dull the highlights are. Look at how uncontrolled the highlight is here. Then we have these little points of light here with this little tiny. This looks like a speed light's aimed at it. I don't get it. It's just terribly done. Terribly done. Where this one is done very well, except it's not cut out very well. I don't blame the photographer for this. It was something else. But notice what the photographer did. He really, he or she really brought that highlight right in here, another highlight in here, and a highlight to the front, and really showed off the shape of this hair dryer. This next photographer did a hair dryer, but he used a model. big soft highlight here, a couple of soft rim lights here, and very, very large light brought in close, which of course does a nice job for the model as well. But we can see how bright that light is. Look at that, the front of her hands. They're just lit. They're just lit up from that light being in so close. It's probably right, right out of camera right here to get it to be that big of a highlight. I would be very careful when you're doing stuff like that. I think I might want to, bring those hands down a little bit somehow, because they become very, very bright hands against the very dark part of the picture. And I don't think it helps the hairdryer either. Oh, why not? We all love to shoot fire. It's an appliance. Kind of well done too. Another hairdryer. Kind of swirly, purpley thing in the back. Terrible, ugly cutout that the designer used here. But the hairdryer itself, nice highlight here. Notice the extra bright on the edge and the extra bright on the edge here. Really pulls it off the background. Photoshop background, obviously. But not a bad shot here. It would definitely lit up the label. I have no idea what this is. But some Photoshop back there and some pretty clean highlights, giving us these buttons, giving us that bevel, giving us the bevels up here. Pretty darn clean highlights. If you want a Roomba or any kind of thing to clean your house, here you go. I thought this was pretty well done. I love the muted colors back here, warm colors and gray colors all the way through, even up here, really muted out. And then to have this unit perfectly positioned, all the lines leading to it, everything leads to it, and it's right up front and center. It's some good light all the way around it. Was this shot here and then, or was it shot somewhere else and brought in? I'm kind of thinking it was shot here. Personally, I'm kind of thinking that. There is some purple on the floor, but we all know that can be added with Photoshop. So that's from this guiding mechanism, puts the purple out there. But I thought it was, not a badly done shot. So, kitchen appliances. Showed you some good ones, showed you some weak ones. Yours will not be weak. I look forward to seeing what you did, and we will see you on the show. Thanks very much, everyone.